Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Pluto, square, opposition, or inconjunct one's natal sun. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Pluto, it can be about power, control, transformation, crisis, desire. Can also be about fixation and obsession. And when you're talking about transit Pluto basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal sun, now I'm going to elaborate on it. When you have basically adverse aspect, okay, squares and oppositions, of course, in astrology are negative and adverse aspects. And the inconjunct, though it's neutral, keep in mind that neutral aspects can have good and bad qualities in them. And also an inconjunct can involve and often involve an adjustment or transition. And those things, of course, can cause some exasperation and tension. So basically, collectively, I see this as an adverse transit. Now, again, when transit Pluto is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal sun, it could manifest in power, control, transformation, crisis, desire, obsession, fixation. These things might conflict with your life. The thing about it is, I mean, if you're overly, obsessed or fixated on things, other parts of your life, you might throw under the proverbial rug, basically. I mean, if your natal sun is in Cancer, say, it could be that, a family, could be family or the home, or even, your life of introversion to some degree. Those things, you might wind up putting on the back burner, and it might really affect you to your detriment. Now, the sun is also, well, first I want to say you might have difficulty getting power and control over your own life during this transit, but the sun is also connected with the biological father, so it might be, an issue too, where you might be having power struggles with this person, or you don't really have that desire maybe to be involved with him at this point in time. There might be a crisis that you might be dealing with that might conflict with activities when you're dealing with the biological father at this time, and even dominant males that are in your life. And the thing is too, it may be a time too where you don't have that desire necessarily to take action in certain matters at this point in time. It might be dealing, there might be something where you feel, whether you're not in control or something that is controlling, whether it's a domestic situation or relationship, that might be, feel like prohibiting you from trying to take action in some other aspect in your life at this time. Obsessing over issues, relentlessly trying to do things could have an adverse effect on your vitality and energy at this time. It might be, a situation where even a death at this time may have an adverse effect on your energy level, your motivation, your drive at this point in time as well. Now, the sun can also be connected with leadership, and it might be something where, some kind of situation, might be a controlling situation at your place of employment, where maybe somebody's making it harder for you, perhaps to obtain a position of authority, a position of leadership at this time. Those could be, whether it's a domineering supervisor or somebody that might be, controlling, behind the scenes. Say if transit Pluto's in your 12th house, it could be some, behind the scenes activity that might be, going on, that might be impacting this, or it might be a crisis in your life that might be prohibiting you from, taking a lead in a situation, or it might be harder to be able to lead if you're in a crisis situation at this time of this transit, or you might not desire to lead at this point in time, whether it's an actual position of leadership or it's something where you take on a lead role, whether it's in a relationship or in your family or what have you. Now, the sun is also connected with domination. And it might be a time too. I mean, you're talking about Pluto, a planet of power and control, and then the sun connected with domination. It's not, I mean, adverse transits are not good anyway. But I mean, again, basically adverse because the inconjunct is in there, and that can still have some good and quality. Inconjunct can have bad qualities, but some good in it as well. But anyway, it might be a situation where there might be some control over you trying, if you're trying to dominate in a certain part of your life. If the sun is in Sagittarius, say, maybe it's some sports, group you might belong to, and you might be playing on a recreational level, say, and maybe there's just something there that is impacting that, negatively at this time, or there's something where, the sun, in Cancer, for using the zodiac sign Cancer again as an example, the sun in Cancer maybe may want to dominate their home life and maybe unable to do so. At this point, sun in Leo might be dominating their children. His sun in Leo is domineering to begin with, but perhaps there's a domination issue with children. And if you have the adverse, basically adverse transit from Pluto, it might be difficulty in doing this at this time, finding the power to actually do so. Now again, the sun itself is connected with children, so there can be power struggles that might be transpiring at this time with children. It can be situation. I mean, if the sun, same thing, the sun is in Aquarius, you could be dealing with very, rebellious, non-conforming children. Now, anatomically speaking, the sun is connected with the heart, the spine, and the upper back. So, you might be dealing, I don't want to say crisis with this, but maybe it's hard to control. If you have any problems with these, any of those, body parts I just spoke of that are associated with the sun, those things might be harder to get under control at this point in time. Sometimes this may manifest in a surgery on one of those body parts, I would say, because Pluto is connected with surgery. Could also be a time, the sun is associated with the physical body in general. Now, the ascendant is what dominates the appearance in the physical body, but the sun can play a role in the physical body as well, and you could have physical related matters that are pertaining to the sign that your sun is in. And the thing about this is that could be surgery on the physical body in some cases. Now, if the sun is in Pisces, say, it might be some issues connected with the feet or the toes at this time, or the natal sun is in Capricorn. It could be something with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, as some examples now, or even the gallbladder. Another thing too, the sun is about our focus and attention. So it might be harder, if we've had a death, if you've had a death, a family member or somebody prominent in your life, it might be harder at this time to put your focus or attention on things. Or if you're dealing with some kind of crisis at this time, you're going through some transformation. Say if transit Pluto's in the 4th house, it could be a home, maybe there's some home renovation, remodeling that may be going on. Maybe there's a partition, an extension being added to them, whatever it might be. It could make trying to, at this time, really focus your attention. It could make it more difficult at this time. Now, the sun is also can reflect what we want to shine in, how we want to stand out. And again, there can be this situation with, if you're dealing, like something Pluto related, whether it be insurance or tax related matter, or you had to deal with some crime, it might make it difficult for you to shine and stand out in an area connected with your sun. If your natal sun is in Aquarius, say, it might be something with innovation or computers, astrology or astronomy as some examples. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another thing is, and again, I mean, when you look at this transit, well, first, what I want to talk about, sorry, you may be another way this transit may actually manifest. What I'm going to say is that it may result in being overly obsessed with wanting to shine and stand out. Now, again, going back to the natal sun in Aquarius as an example, it could be, again, in astronomy or astrology, innovation, electronics, computers, altruism, meteorology as some examples. Now, a crisis may challenge you in terms of trying to take action in a matter at this time. Now, let's say if the natal sun is in Libra, it could be over a legal matter, something with arbitration or negotiation, or even a relationship. It could be a matter connected with trying to reconcile a situation at this time. There may be a greater propensity for power struggles with the biological father or dominant male. Say if the sun is in Scorpio, for example, it could be over a will, some insurance related matter, shared resources as some examples. Now also too, if there's any issues, say with the colon or the prostate or the bladder, because Pluto is connected with that anatomically, that may cause more difficulty in you focusing and trying to put your attention on something at this point in time. Say if the natal sun is in Virgo as an example, it might be more difficulty in organizing or compiling data, or even compartmentalizing. Say if you have, the natal sun in Virgo, it's in the say it's in the 11th house, it could be defragging a computer, because Virgo, of course, is associated with compartmentalizing, which can include defragging, and the 11th house is associated with computers. Now, another thing too is that there may be more difficulty in having control over what you want. The sun is connected with what we want. Pluto, of course, is control. Now, let's say if the natal sun is in Taurus as an example, it could be having wanting that peace and stability, creature comforts at this point in time. And it could also, this transit may sometimes manifest in a death or some ending of something, a figurative death, an ending, obliteration of something. It might adversely affect your drive and motivation to do things at this point in time. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.